my decision not to send the delegation to Washington in the wake of that resolution was a message to Hamas.
Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is walking back from his angry comments in what many are seeing as an attempt to quell the simmering tensions with Washington. Netanyahu cancelled a high-level Israeli delegation's visit to Washington after the US abstained during the UN Security Council vote. The resolution on an immediate ceasefire in Gaza was adopted by the UNSC on March 25th. Before this, the US had vetoed 3 resolutions in the UN seeking a ceasefire. Netanyahu's office had called the US decision a clear retreat from its consistent position, adding that the abstention hurt both the war effort and the effort to release the abductees. The US had said there was no shift in its policy.
We believe it's important that the UN speak and the UN Security Council speak on matters of international security. It's why we've been engaged in this process. It's why we thought we were going to have a successful vote on Friday that Russia and China unfortunately and quite cynically vetoed. But I do believe that ultimately if we are able to achieve a ceasefire and the release of hostages is going to come not through a UN process but through the process with which we've been engaged, yes, in Doha.
Now Netanyahu seems to have taken a step back and has asked Washington to reschedule the high-level delegation meeting he had cancelled.
I thought the U.S. decision in the Security Council very, very bad.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it, I think the bad thing about the U.S. decision in the United Nations Security Council was that it encouraged Hamas to take a hard line and to believe that international pressure will prevent Israel from freeing the hostages and destroying Hamas. And that, therefore, my decision not to send the delegation to Washington in the wake of that resolution was a message to Hamas. It was a message first and foremost to Hamas. Don't bet on this pressure, it's not going to work. And I hope they got the message.
Whether the pressure worked on Hamas or not, the recent tensions with Israel's strongest ally have certainly prompted a change of heart for Netanyahu, who continues to face protests at home and abroad over his continued bombardment of Gaza and plans to push ahead with a ground offensive in Rafah. The situation in Gaza remains grim, with nearly 32,000 Palestinian casualties, 2/3 of whom are children and women. The UN has warned of an imminent famine in northern Gaza. Back home in Israel, Netanyahu's reaction to the US abstention has been criticized by Israeli commentators. Editorials in Israeli newspapers used a range of harsh terms to characterize Netanyahu's decision, ranging from madness to delusional. Gershon Baskin, who was involved in the negotiations to free an Israeli soldier held hostage by Hamas in 2006, said on X, and I quote, "Netanyahu is off the rails. He is an existential danger to Israel. He must be gone from our lives," unquote. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be in Israel once again to push for alternatives to the ground offensive in Rafah. Will the latest move by Netanyahu help smooth things over with Washington after the Israel-Hamas war started 6 months ago? For more such videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button and follow for more.